Hey guys, what's up? It's a Pajama Pants Play, the best in the world. It's John Grande live in living color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. Are we too sweet tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Because I am here, I am ready, willing, and able, and I'm going to be ranking, oh yes, the new Creepshow television series, all of the segments. Yes, all 12 segments, all 6 episodes. No regrets, ladies and gents. And I'm stoked about this because I'll be honest with you, man. When I first heard about the new Creepshow series airing on Shudder Streaming, that's actually where I believe they own the show or whatever, and I saw the trailer, I'll be honest, I was really underwhelmed. I was just like, damn, man, they don't got no money for this, clearly. I don't know who they're going to bring back. I don't know what they're going to do. It honestly just smelled of cheap cash in. We're going to bring this back and it's going to just be flat as ever and it'll come and go and nobody will really care about it. Well, never was I so happy to be dead wrong, because the new Creepshow series, I think for the most part, was pretty solid and pretty kick-ass. I know that there were a couple ones that I didn't like, and I'll get into that when I get into my rankings. But overall, I think this is a show that a guy like George Romero, the late great George Romero, would be really proud of. And you know, I kind of look at this in the way that Stephen King and George Romero in the early 80s, they came together and made the first Creepshow. And that was really their baby. The entire name, the entire feel, idea, it was really Stephen King and George Romero's baby. And I really always loved the sequel. I love Creepshow Part 2. Creepshow 3 we'll never mention because it is the absolute abomination that it is. But to be honest with you, man, some of the names behind the new Creepshow, I was really excited about. I could get behind a Greg Nicotero, a Tom Savini, a John Harrison, who nobody ever mentions, but he actually wrote the original Creepshow score and directed a ton of these new episodes. And, you know, little hints, little wink, possibly some of my favorite episodes. So, without further ado, I'm going to get into the ranking of Creepshow, all the segments, all 12 segments in Season 1. I got them all a little list on my phone, this way I don't forget anything or any order here. But I'm going to go from 12 to 1, least favorite to favorite, and let's get started. Coming in at the bottom, coming in at number 12, it is Times is Tough at Muskie Holler. Yeah, starring David Arquette. Yes, former WCW champion David Arquette. And I have to tell you, this is easily the shittiest episode of this goddamn season. You can barely tell what's going on in it. It has a really, in my opinion, a shitty style and look to it. A lot of this was green screen effects, and a lot of the brutality in the final act, they hardly show you anything. It's supposed to be a big body count. Not really. I mean, you maybe see 1 or 2 on-screen kills when at least 10 people get killed off in the final, 3 minutes. So I thought that was lame. I thought the acting was lame. The setup was lame. The story was lame. Just didn't like anything about Times is Tough at Muskie Holler. Hence why it is the Cellar Dweller at number 12. Coming in at number 11, it is The Finger, directed by Greg Nicotero. See, I know a lot of people really put this one over. So I guess this will be my most controversial pick on the whole list, because honestly hated this episode. I could not get into it at all. It basically stars, I forget the actor's name, but it's he's this really big geek, this computer geek, stay-at-home geek, and one night he is walking on the road and he sees this finger, and eventually it becomes a creature, and it's very tongue-in-cheek segment. It's actually written by David J. Shaw, who I love as a writer. He's written Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3. Of course, the Masters of Horror episode Pick Me Up. I don't know, I just couldn't get into the tone of this episode. Maybe it was just me, because I can tell, from what I can tell, a lot of people really loved The Finger. Just wasn't my cup of tea, I guess. I don't know. I really could not get into The Finger at all. Really big letdown for me. Coming in number 10, Gray Matter. Once again, written and directed. I don't know if this was written by Gray. I think this is actually written by Stephen King. It was just short story in the 70s, but once again directed by Mr. Greg Nicotero. Now, this episode is probably largely the most forgettable for me of this entire season. It is actually was the first segment they aired, and when I watched it, I was like, I'm in trouble. This rest of the series is going to be absolute garbage. But thankfully, that was just a sour note to start off on. Not a bad season at all, but just I think kind of a sore foot to start off on. It basically tells the story of this guy and his son, and the father's an alcoholic, and he turns into this monster, and Tobin Bell, Adrienne Barbeau, bunch of people are in it, but it just, I don't know, man, it was just so flat. It was too preachy, and it went too style over substance for me, where this story really had no oomph to it, no backbone to it, and the style I felt was almost too bleak at times. Once again, I do know people really like this one, it just wasn't for me. Coming in at number 9, By the Silver Water of Lake Champlain. Yes, directed by Tom Savini, of course, the legendary master of effects, and written by Joe Hill, son of Stephen King. So if there was any of these episodes to feel like the original Creepshow movies, you would think it would be this one. However, to be honest, I didn't really get that vibe from this one. I got more of a Tales from the Crypt vibe from this one. It basically tells the story of this family, and they lost their father, and the little girl believes in his dream. He was chasing after dinosaurs and shit. I don't know, really weird out there plot. Well, basically she finds what he's been searching for all these years, and her stepfather gets in the way, and there's this crazy climax. While I think it was good overall, I don't think it was I don't know, I feel like it could have been a little bit better. It just needed a little bit more oomph to it. Not a bad episode, just an episode that I felt that, with the names involved, Tom Savini, Joe Hill, I thought I was going to get the best episode of the season, and honestly, a little bit below average when it comes to this first season. And that's actually saying something, because I didn't even think it was a bad episode. I actually thought By the Silver Water of Lake Champlain was a solid anthology segment. Coming in at number 8, it is Night of the Paw. Yes, another one directed by John Harrison. This one written by my good buddy John Esposito, who actually wrote one of my favorite Masters of Horror episodes, Right to Die. Yeah, he's also written some awesome Teen Titans episodes. John Esposito's work's awesome. This is basically another kind of tale about the monkey's paw. Obviously, it's an old urban legend story, but I thought he did a good job with this here, and Bruce Davison does a really, really good job acting. I really liked the little twists towards the end of the segment, and I loved the final shot of the segment. It felt oh so Creepshow with these vibrant blues and reds and purples. It just popped off the screen to me, the final shot, and zooming out, you see that classic comic book kind of transition from live action to animation, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic, man. Night of the Paw, excellent, excellent effort. Coming in at number 7, it is David Bruckner's The Companion. Yes, The Companion. This one was the most like a Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark segment. I don't know if you've all heard or read Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, the little books. I have all of them. I think I have all 3 of them over there. They're awesome to read, especially around October season. But this one tells the story of this kid, and he's running from his abusive brother, and he comes across a scarecrow, and basically the scarecrow is alive, and it starts killing off people and stuff like that. We get this awesome little backstory where how the scarecrow came to be, why it started killing and stuff like that. And I don't know, man, I thought this one had a nice little heart to it. While it had that Creepshow dark fun twist at the end, the first half had a really good heart to it, and that kept me going, that kept me watching, that kept me interested. And I really did like The Companion by David Bruckner, so that's number 7. Top half now, ladies and gents. Coming in at number 6, Lydia Lane's Better Half. Yes, directed by Roxanne. I don't want to butcher her last name, but Roxanne, you did a hell of a job, babe. Let me tell you, loved this episode. Lydia Lane's Better Half. This is one where I felt like it was more like a Tales from the Dark Side episode. It tells the story of Lydia Lane, and she's going to give a promotion out at the beginning of the episode. There's a male participant for the spot and a female. Let's just say the male gets it, and we find out that the other female did not get it because she is lesbian lovers with Lydia Lane. Yes, look at all the goddamn alliteration there. That was 4 L's in a row, baby. You can't top that shit. You can't top that shit live, at least. I thought that was a really fun setup, and basically Lydia Lane accidentally kills her lover, and the rest of the episode has to cover up the kill that she has committed. And I just had fun with this one. This was one of those episodes where we know what's going down, the characters know what's going down, but no one else around Lydia Lane knows what's going down. It's her trying to cover up. The entire episode kind of climaxes on the elevator, and I thought you had the most iconic image from the first season on that elevator scene. Of course, I'm talking about the final image. Just fantastic stuff, man. I thought the acting was really, really good, and I just thought the whole feel of it just felt very Tales from the Dark Side to me. We don't have a big budget. We don't have a lot of room to work with here. We're going to be creative. We're going to be fun. We're going to be innovative. And I thought Lydia Lane's Better Half was super. I would say it's the most underrated episode of the first season because it is very simple, but it's very effective. Packs a very big punch. Really liked Lydia Lane's Better Half. Coming in the top 5. Oh yeah, we're getting there, ladies and gentlemen. Skin Crawlers, once again by my girl Roxanne, directed by her. This was a really fun one. This one felt Creepshow to me. There's this new kind of get thin quick scheme going on, and it's this whole company where if you do this, you'll lose 300 pounds in 3 days kind of thing. And how they're losing the fat is they're putting these little alien leeches on you, and it sucks the fat out of you. So you go from 400 pound, my 600 pound life, sitting on the couch eating a fucking Domino's and fucking brownie pie, lava cake, if you will, to the next day you're a Playboy centerfold. So that's kind of the draw, and this one, our lead character, this fat guy, he's hesitant, he doesn't want to do it, and it's very fun how everything kind of unfolds. The ending, the finale, could not be more Creepshow. You get some crazy-ass monsters, crazy-ass gore, crazy-ass explosions, a tone that knew it wasn't going to take itself seriously, but at the same time, it works because it was so clever. I really, really enjoyed Skin Crawlers. I thought that was an awesome, awesome episode. So that is number 5. Coming in at number 4, this is the one that surprised me the most, baby. It is The Man in the Suitcase, directed by David Bruckner. This was a really, really solid episode. It basically tells the story of this guy gets off a plane and his luggage is missing, but they give him this other bag. They're like, I think this might be it. Ends up there's a man in his suitcase, and if he feels any sort of pain, he somehow produces gold. And this guy's girlfriend, his best buddy, they want to profit off of that. So they torture the shit out of this guy, take all this gold from him, and it's one of those stories where you can kind of tell where it's going the first 2 minutes, like greed will enslave us all sort of thing. But I thought it was very fun, and it had a very unique feel. I don't know if it felt like maybe a Tales from the Dark Side episode, but definitely one with a little bit more of a creative thought process, I thought. I thought all the acting was fun. Once again, a really fun finale. And I don't know, man. Overall, I thought The Man in the Suitcase was kind of a creative story when it comes to like the Midas touch and all these gold stories. I thought it was really well done. So The Man in the Suitcase coming in at number 4. Coming in the top 3 now. Yes, the cream of the crop rising to the top, ladies and gents. Bad Wolf Down. Directed by Rob Schrab, I believe. I don't know how to pronounce that. But this was a really fun one as well. It takes place towards like World War II, and there's these Nazis circling in on the Americans. They're in this prison, and basically one of the prisoners in this prison happens to be a werewolf, and all hell breaks loose. Once again, another story that felt very Creepshow to me. It had just the vibrant colors, it had the fun atmosphere, really funny dialogue. Jeffrey Combs, you can never go wrong with Jeffrey Combs, kind of playing like a Hitler knockoff. Really cool, man. I loved seeing some horror royalty in there in this really fun segment. So I really liked Bad Wolf Down. Coming in at number 2, it is House of the Head, written, I think it was written by John Harrison. I know it was directed by John Harrison. John Harrison did this one, and man, I know a lot of people hated this one, but I friggin' loved it. This was an awesome style over substance episode. This little girl, yeah. I always do this in one take, so bear with me here. This little girl gets this dollhouse, and she notices that there's like this little decapitated head toy in there. And every time she looks in, this head is at a different point of the house. And there's this little family in the house, and they all look horrified. And slowly but surely she starts adding little things, like little figures. One of them may just be old Chief Woodenhead from Creepshow Part 2. Loved that callback. Absolutely loved that little Easter egg to Creepshow Part 2. And basically this head keeps committing all these kind of kills to all these dolls. And it's just through this little girl's eyes and her fascination and her amazement, it's that this episode starts to become creepy, and it really does start to work. I absolutely adored House of the Head. I thought it was one of the best episodes, and for a while, it was my favorite episode of the entire season. So I highly recommend. Again, very style over substance, so it's not going to be for everybody. But I thought it was very creepy, very well directed by John Harrison. I thought he hit it out of the park. Which brings us to number 1. The best episode of the Creepshow revival. My favorite episode, at least. All Hallows Eve. Once again, directed by John Harrison. From the writer of Dario Argento's Jennifer. Oh yeah, a little Masters of Horror meeting kind of aspects of Trick or Treat meeting Creepshow. Yeah, it's all culminating together. This one was easily my favorite. This was like the Halloween-centered episode. And if you remember, the original Creepshow takes place on and around Halloween. Of course, we get that little pumpkin in the window of Joe Hill. I just absolutely adored this one, start to finish. Really cliched characters where it'll probably just rub people the wrong way. But that's almost the point at the same time. We follow these group of trick-or-treaters that are causing all sorts of chaos in the neighborhood, and we don't know what exactly is going on until the finale, where we find out why they're doing the things that they're doing. However, the actors, all these actors, do such a phenomenal job, man. I absolutely adored this episode. I've watched it like 3 or 4 times since. Just really, just an addicting story, premise, plot, direction, feel. This is one I'll be watching on Halloween night for years to come, because it has everything to it. It has that Creepshow feel. It has John Harrison coming back, you know, absolutely just killing it in the director's chair. And it really had that moral message. And I really like that. I think that's the beauty of Creepshow. Like some of my favorite stories are Something to Tide You Over. That one has that little moral message at the end. And I don't know, there's something about that segment that just really spoke to me and spoke volumes at that. I won't ruin the ending. I thought it was fantastic. See them for yourself. Decide for yourself. If you've seen all the seasons, or all the segments, I should say. If you've seen them all, let me know what your rankings were down below. You can comment, like, subscribe, all that good shit. But that is Creepshow Season 1. So I want to thank everybody for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Predator stream coming sometime this week. I'm thinking Thursday night, around there. That's my plan right now. But only time will tell, right? Until then, I am the Pajama Pants Player. I am the best in the world. Too sweet. Peace out. Thanks for joining me only on The Graveyard.